We're talking today with David Anderson. He's mayor of Willoughby. I'm Dan Moulthrop, curator of conversation at the Civic Commons. Mayor Anderson, it's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's great to be here.
So let me be real frank. I got in touch with you because we're talking a lot about the Regional Prosperity Initiative at the Civic Commons, and I was asking Mayor Mike Lyons of Richfield, who's a critic? And he said, talk to Dave Anderson. He's the most articulate critic there is on this topic. So. I don't know if all the other critics out there would agree with you. But anyway, what's your primary objection to the idea, the basic idea is that there ought to be some collaborative planning decisions made between municipalities and among municipalities, that people ought to get together to make those decisions, and also that there ought to be some sort of revenue sharing. And we'll get into the details of all of this, but I mean, from a 20,000-foot philosophical perspective, what's the problem?
Oh, there's no problem with that from a 20,000-foot perspective. From the nuts and bolts of what's coming out on the RPI, I have some concerns, and they started with this 4 years ago when we started this. Dan, we were all looking for a way to right the ship, so to speak, and we studied three different programs that were already up and out. The Pittsburgh program, the Allegheny County Regional Assets Program, and then the Montgomery County, City of Dayton EDGE program. And we also looked at the Minneapolis-St. Paul Fiscal Disparities Program. And the other two programs, the program from Pennsylvania, the program from Dayton, these were basically very easy to understand, and they were strategically targeted. Both of those took a 1% or a 0.5% in Dayton case sales tax. That's what funded it. So it was very easy to understand. A 1% sales tax in Pennsylvania, 0.5% in Dayton. In both cases, they take half that money and they put it into a fund to help with economic development projects or arts and culture projects, quality of life projects, and what they call regional assets, something that will make the region more attractive to us. So half the money goes to projects in those. In Pennsylvania's case, 25% of the money goes to the county and 25% goes to cities at that point. Kind of a weighted way to do it so that cities that are in more distress get a little bit more than cities that aren't. Well, both those programs, again, were easy to understand and strategically targeted to enhance the district. The Minneapolis-St. Paul program is a fiscal disparities program in which all the communities around Minneapolis-St. Paul, including the two big cities, put money into a pool, and then they redistribute that money out to the same cities with no goal in mind or no project in mind or goal, and just redistribute it back out with a weighted way so that the cities that are going through some tougher times get a little bit more than cities that are a little bit more flush.
It's basically a wealth redistribution program.
It is. It is a wealth. It's fiscal disparity. That's what they call it. And so it is a wealth distribution program, but it had nothing to do with enhancing the region, which is what I thought we all were trying to do when we got into this.
So, and from your point of view, what's being proposed by the advocates of the Regional Prosperity Initiative, which is a collaborative land use decision-making process or something of that sort, and combined with sharing of tax growth, of tax revenue growth, so a percentage of something over whatever the current baseline is. And I'm sure we can get details on all of that stuff, but I mean it's just numbers, right? But those basic numbers or those basic ideas, you don't agree with them because they're too much like the Minneapolis-St. Paul model?
I don't think it accomplishes what at least I thought we were trying to accomplish, which was trying to improve the region in some way. And I just don't see as how that happens, Dan.
Well, so do you agree fundamentally? You said like at the 20,000-foot level, philosophically, you're down. You support the idea of sharing some sort of tax revenues.
No, what I would say is I could be persuaded.
You could be persuaded.
I could be persuaded to support some type of funding of tax revenues if it was strategically targeted and was good for the region.
So what would it have to be targeted at?
Well, I don't know. See, and that's part of the problem. I thought that would be part of the process, that we'd start looking at things in the region. It could be something, Dan, such as the lakefront. I think we all understand that the lakefront should be our biggest asset on the North Coast. It should be, yet it isn't at this point. In Lake County now, there is a plan to try to start enhancing that lakefront, but that's the type of thing on the Northeast Ohio region area that we could be talking to. And if we all had to pony up a little, to have some projects go on that would really enhance the lakefront and really enhance the region, that's something that I might be persuaded to support here. And but it would have to be strategically targeted, not simply kicked into a pot and redistributed. I
think the advocates of RPI, of the Regional Prosperity Initiative, would suggest that the idea of sharing some form of tax revenue growth, some amount of tax revenue growth, not 100% of it, but some small percentage of it, is for those who are on the wrong side of the benchmark, say below the benchmark where you'd start receiving money rather than putting money in. It's very attractive. For other places like Willoughby right now, the pitch is it's more of an insurance policy against potentially tough times 10, 20, 30 years down the road. Does that not appeal to you as a city mayor?
Well, here's what I'll tell you is that when we're talking about sharing tax money, Dan, especially that, and this is the biggest difference between Minneapolis-St. Paul and us, and why I was not in favor of adopting the Minneapolis-St. Paul model. They're talking about sharing property taxes for C&I, for commercial and industrial growth, and sharing those property taxes. If you take a look at your tax bill, and all of us have just gotten them in the mail, our new property tax bill, take a look at where those taxes are directed. And what you'll see is that in Northeast Ohio, we specifically direct taxes. We vote for taxes for specific purposes. We'll say, I'll give $50 a year extra for the park system. I'll give it for the school system. In Willoughby, in recent years, we have it for the libraries, for the MRDD boards. It's specifically voted as a citizen. I voted to give my money there, not to share it in some way. And so I think, number one, I think it's illegal. I don't think there's any way that you can actually do that. And then because our own auditors allow us to share that money with any other fund of our own.
Well, that can be legislatively fixed, right? If enough people agree, you can go to the state legislature and say, hey, this is really what we want to see in Northeast Ohio. Can you please make it possible, right? There's a fix there.
If enough people agreed to do that, I think it's impractical to believe that enough people are going to agree to do that, or that their constituents are going to agree to do that. I think it's a very impractical model that we've chosen for Northeast Ohio, and I'm just having a hard time getting behind it.
Yeah. The examples you raised, though, the libraries, the MRDD boards, the schools,
park systems, higher
education, all of that, those are shared assets.
Our safety levies.
Yeah, but those are all shared assets, right? Those are, and I mean, part of the thing that I always come back to about this is that taxes are essentially shared money anyway, right? The Oliver Wendell Holmes said they're the price we pay for civilization, and it's basically we agree that, like, in order for our community to be strong and to run well, we need a mayor who's going to collect a salary that's going to come from somewhere, right? We need to have plows to plow the streets. We need to have schools that are well run, and all of those community assets need to be paid for by somebody. So so taxes are basically about sharing things, right?
I guess I'm not following you completely, but
I'm just saying that in some respects, and we already have so many examples of the way that we do this with the Regional Income Tax Authority and all sorts of other things. That, I mean, taxes are basically a way to share costs over an entire community, right?
Over a community. Yes.
Over a community. And so it just kind of depends. On one level, the community is just Willoughby. On another level, the community is Lake County. And on another level, it's the state.
And if there's a voted levy for additional taxes to share, that would be fine. That would be something our folks would have a chance to vote on, and if they wanted to do that. But when they voted to give a certain percentage of money for road repair in Willoughby, legally we can't share that
right.
any fund or any other entity.
Right.
We have to spend it on road repair. And what I'm saying is, I think they've chosen an impractical model because the vast majority of our taxes are already directed. Mm-hmm. They're legal, and they have to go to that source. They cannot actually be shared. So they're struggling with a way to come up with enough money, enough of that shareable money out there to make a difference. I know they are.
Yeah. So what do you think do you think the solution is really much, I mean, politically, you can't do a sales tax, raise the sales tax in Northeast Ohio another % or something like that.
Well, here's what I'll tell you is what I think. Right now, again, I just don't buy the concept of the Minneapolis-St. Paul plan. Mm-hmm. I could have much more been persuaded towards either the Pennsylvania plan or the Dayton-Montgomery plan. I cannot with them. And I think right now, Dan, this is a distraction. It's a distraction in Northeast Ohio because we're facing, as you know, the state's facing an $8 billion gap in their budget. Virtually every city is out there searching. And what we should be doing today, and what we are doing, many of us, is we are collaborating. We're working together, but with smaller groups of cities, working together to find ways to deliver services more cost effectively, more sustainable into the future with that. And that's where all of our emphasis is right now. I can tell you that with mayors in Lake County, the RPI is not on anyone's radar at this point. It just isn't. But everybody's radar is trying to find ways that we can work together to rein in costs and to make sure that we're delivering a good product affordably. And we're looking at, right now in Willoughby, we're looking at combining dispatch, police dispatch services with communities or maybe the county. We're looking at things we've never looked at before. And that's where all of our emphasis is right now. So I can tell you a huge amount of emphasis is on collaboration. A huge amount of emphasis is on trying to deliver quality services at an affordable rate. Right now, that's where everybody's emphasis is on.
All right.
That's on their radar.
Well, Dave Anderson, Mayor of Willoughby, I really appreciate your time, and these criticisms you raised are going to be, I'm going to inject them into this forum next week at the Levin College with the Regional Prosperity Initiative folks, because I think these are very important. This is, I mean, if there's no traction in Lake County, there's probably not Lake County's not unique. And Willoughby's not unique and you're, as a mayor, you're not unique in having that perspective.
No, I appreciate that, and let me just state for the record, I have all the respect in the world for people like Tom Byer at Cleveland State and Bill Curran and Jim Lyons and Bruce Akers and the people who have been working at this. They have all the best intentions in the world, and they're honorable people and they're hardworking people, and I wish I could agree with them more sometimes on the direction that they've chosen to go. That's all. But I do admire them, and they've heard this. They've heard these before, certainly. But if you want to inject them, that's certainly fine.
Well, I mean, they may have heard them, but I don't know that a lot of other ordinary civilians have heard them. So anyway, thank you for voicing them here. We're going to get this up on the Civic Commons in the next couple of days, and I really appreciate your time, Dave.
Thanks, Dan. This has been a great experience.